It's a pretty dark piece.
It's not just another gig. I mean, this is a project.
I think it's thrilling.
Nothing like this has ever been done before.
It's all about momentum, really, you know?
We can take this a lot further.
It's like, make it louder, make it more insane.
We just scratched the surface on what we can do.
It's huge.
I founded the Metropolis Ensemble 3 years ago. It's a professional chamber orchestra, and we're dedicated to premiering new works from young composers and pairing them with just the very top musicians coming out of conservatories. Well, it's so funny. It all happened when just like one day, Ronan Givney, who directs the Wordless Music series, he'd been to a couple of our concerts, and he just called and says, "Oh, hey, Andrew, was that your last concert? It was great, and I just have a proposition for you. Would you like to perform for 10,000 people? I'm helping Celebrate Brooklyn program some concerts, and I was thinking of pairing you with Deerhoof, this indie rock band."
At a certain point, you have to, be honest about what your history is as a musician and as a human being. And for a lot of us, it's not just classical music. And so rather than, just kind of compartmentalizing our lives, why not try to bring it all together?
And so I thought, well, maybe we can do something with electronics in the Rite of Spring. I called Ricardo Romanero. He bridges two worlds into club and electronica, and also into ballet and classical music. He's Juilliard trained. And I said, can we do a remix?
I told Andrew, I'm like, we can do it this way. And he was like, great. So we just went straight through. There were so many obstacles that we didn't know how we're gonna go around this. And the challenge was like how to overcome them. There's technical issues that we had to get involved. So I told him, well, we need a sound engineer for this. He's kind of like mastering everything while I'm like going crazy. He can throw effects into my things. He can turn mine down. He pans like even the instruments.
Working with this piece was just like, oh, okay. These guys are the ones that create this whole theory based in feelings,
Okay, remix electronics, but then what? We're an ensemble. We have to play something. And I called another composer, Ryan Francis, and we had a couple of concerts where we featured his work.
When Andrew first asked me and Ricardo if we would like to arrange Rite of Spring for Celebrate Brooklyn, I said no. We needed to have some sort of like radical reinvention of it.
So, well, what would you envision for, if it was electronics, what could go with it?
He asked, okay, well, how can we make this work? How can we make this work? And just kept thinking, it just needs to be loud. It needs to be really, really, really loud. We can't lose this like sheer force that the piece normally has.
And it's like just brass and percussion.
It's just so overwhelming to see the amount of craft and ingenuity that went into writing it, trying to figure out how to, then reinvent it for brass ensemble and augmenting that with electronics.
The flute doesn't become a flute anymore. It becomes like a color, and it becomes an instrument. And that instrument becomes something else. A bunch of virtual instruments that I built. So I would just kind of like throw it in, throw it out, bring it in, bring it out.
And then some of the electronics, I'm actually like playing on a keyboard and like shaping as well.
And meanwhile, like while I'm throwing all the stuff, Leo is like EQing everything, make sure like the bass is not too much. I didn't want to keep it to like a flute. It sounds like a flute, because what for? Then just play the Rite of Spring itself.
I'm one of the founders of La Poisson Rouge, and we're very pleased to have Metropolis here. I'm a classical musician, as is my business partner, Justin Cantor. We're really interested in juxtaposing seemingly incongruous music.
The Rite's being performed each night. We're hoping that by showing it in a different context, it'll attract different audiences to hear this piece. And because this is straddling the fence of so many different sorts of genres, tonight Ricardo playing one of his more classical pieces. It still uses electronics, and it's still somewhat genre bending. So the first night's kind of very classical.
This new piece by Ricardo Romanero called Two-Part Belief. And it combines electronica along with kind of this operatic style, jazzy singing. Kind of very atmospheric and mood-like all throughout. Ricardo is also DJing behind, and a lot of times he'll change too. He'll change whatever he feels like, and it'll kind of create a different emotion in me.
The second night focuses more on kind of the electronic edge, because then Ricardo is going to be doing some of his digital cities, which is more purely electronic improvised acts, and then of course DJ3.
It's no easy feat to do such a juxtaposition of real instruments and electronic music, especially in a predominantly a live situation. Like, it's happening by a machine with momentum, and that momentum is purely the total sum of the parts of the room, the people, the music, and how it all sounds and how it all feels. That would be something, they would say, I had no idea that classical music had that kind of grit.
Because Rite of Spring, let's face it, is one of the more fierce classical pieces.
I thought the vibe was cool at LPR. Like, it was very like, everyone was like in the space, like it was like, okay, like I have to bring it.
There's such a gray line between these worlds now. In a way, it's really nice to know that the classical world is taking itself into that area.
It's kind of like opening the door to the possibility of really large-scale electronic music commissions that are not going to be scary, that are just going to be just totally gorgeous.
We're playing with Deerhoof banjo, which is pretty exciting, and they're a pretty huge band, and I really like their music, so it's pretty fun to be sharing the stage with them.
And in the park, it was just like, I put my sunglasses on, and I just had fun.
It's basically, you feel sad, you feel happy, you feel excited. It's just so driving, and it's awesome.
The Rite Remixed was phenomenal. It's an incredibly powerful work. There's an incredible amount of energy and passion, almost violence to it. And it was a very interesting mix of live musicians and electronic music. I thought it was absolutely fascinating.
I've been talking to people in the audience, and they seem to really have enjoyed it. New experience, I think, for everybody. So, yeah, really well received.
thought it was a very innovative interpretation and engagement with a seminal piece of avant-garde music.
Very interesting, very engrossing, pulled me in, got more and more involved in it. Enjoyed it more than I thought I would.
Certainly they took a lot of what I've heard before and classically, contemporarily, and put it all together in a great new way. It's terrific.